Okay, just want to say thank you all for coming out tonight to the Norwood Climate Advisory Group Showcase. It's an exciting time to hear about climate solutions and community leadership happening in Ward 1 and 4 of Norwood. So first, I want to say thank you to the Environmental Protection Agency for sponsoring this project. We would not be here without a grant that's supporting this effort to talk about climate and air pollution within the city of Norwood. And then Groundwork and Green Umbrella are two organizations that you'll hear from today to get to know about climate safe neighborhoods and also about the work that has been happening in this climate advisory group for the past few weeks. All right, so for the agenda today, I'm just going to give an introduction to climate safe neighborhoods, as well as why are we focusing on Ward 1 and 4. That's supported by data. That will be presented by our GIS analyst, Tiffany Harvey. We're going to go through the Norwood Climate Advisory Group process. We have some presentations by Climate Advisory Group members who participated in the Climate Advisory Group. And then we'll have a quick Q&A if you all have any questions about the process, the development, things like that. And then we have a quick survey for you all to fill out at the end and a good time for us to mingle. There's some information on some of the tables in the back, as well as some food. If you all would like to stay around for that, I promise to get you all out by 7:30. All right, so a little bit about climate safe neighborhoods. So climate safe neighborhoods, we're asking a question of the connection between climate impact as well as with racism as well, and what that looks like within Greater Cincinnati. And then what can we do about it as folks that live in the Greater Cincinnati region and as those who are bearing the brunt of climate impact. So Climate Safe Neighborhoods is a program through Groundwork USA. It's a national effort. So Cincinnati is one of many cities throughout the United States that's focusing on addressing and talking about the connection between race and the climate crisis. So it's just a little bit of description about that, but we're looking at neighborhoods within Greater Cincinnati who are most impacted by climate. So our focus today is on neighborhoods. With Climate Safe Neighborhoods, it is about that. As well as with educating and igniting action towards climate resiliency. So the goals of Climate Safe Neighborhoods, we have four, like our tenets that we go on. I'm not gonna read all of it, but to summarize, we're looking at the relationship between the climate crisis and racism. We're looking to build the capacity of residents to self-advocate for resources within their community, as well as develop short-term mitigation strategies. So that looks like community gardens and rain gardens, things like that, to help reduce flooding and heat. And lastly, to impact policy to start thinking about and implementing equitable climate resiliency solutions. So here in Greater Cincinnati, we have two organizations, both Groundwork and Green Umbrella, working to have these conversations with residents and to ignite action. So there's the Neighborhood Climate Advisory Group model, which is what this whole process was based on. And the group model, is still to continue our goal with climate safe neighborhoods, and that's to raise awareness about climate impact, create climate resiliency plans that you'll see tonight, and also to engage communities in climate planning with government and other community partners throughout the area. So now we're going to talk about what these two organizations do. So Groundwork Ohio River Valley, we have 3 programs, which is Climate Conservation Corps. It's our youth workforce development program. It's for youth and young adults to do conservation work throughout the city of Cincinnati. We have Climate Safe Neighborhoods, which is one of the programs we're here for today, and Citizen Science, which is another program through Groundwork Ohio River Valley. I also forgot to introduce myself. I'm Kelsey, and I am the director of the Climate Safe Neighborhoods program. Community and Climate Resilience is my title through Groundwork. And so we'll have Tommy here introduce himself and a little bit about the organization of Green Umbrella.
Okay. Thank you, Casey. So again, my name is Tommy. So I work with Green Umbrella as a regional climate collaborative monitor. So what we do in Green Umbrella is that we not-profit organization here in Greater Cincinnati, so we serve about 10 counties within Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. So we have 8 programs. I have a lot of them. We have climate research incubator. We have Green Space Alliance. We have Food Policy Program Council. We have Climate Safe Neighborhood, which we are collaborating with Groundwork. Then we have about 8 collaborative teams, including working groups. Also, we also have that. So we have a lot of programming that has to do with Midwest Sustainability Program Summit, which is coming up next year. So also we have a regional climate action plan, which has to do with a Greater Cincinnati of how we reduce climate how we reduce greenhouse gases emissions within the Greater Cincinnati. We collaborate with so many partners, including the University of Northern Kentucky, UC, and also other partners, including Groundwork River Valley. So we're going to explain more about that. So we partner with so many partners here in Greater Cincinnati to see how we thrive together, and especially within the communities who are low income, to see how to reduce the impact of climate change in those communities.
All right, so before jumping into why West Norwood, just thinking about what climate change looks like at a national scale, there's not just neighborhoods dealing with extreme heat and flooding, but there's also other countries throughout the countries and also other states within the United States who are dealing with similar issues, based off different policies in place that are not giving the resources to communities to withstand some of these issues. So what that looks like nationally is wildfires and flooding and disasters on the coastal sides, as well as within like the Midwest as well. So this is just an example of, climate is not just happening here in Greater Cincinnati, but it's national throughout the United States, dealing with the similar issues, and also internationally as well. So now I'm going to hand it off to Tiffany Harvey to give you some context about some of the data and why we're talking about Norwood and West Norwood particularly.
Hello, everyone. As Kelsey was saying, I am Tiffany Harvey. I am the GIS analyst for Groundwork Ohio River Valley. I just had a cold like a few days ago. That's why I'm wearing this. And my voice is not able to project very much. So sorry about that. But even when I'm healthy, it's not very loud. So yeah. All right. So my job is to tell you a little bit about Norwood's climate vulnerabilities. So one of the most obvious ones to you all who live here probably is the heat that Norwood faces. So Norwood has a lot of impervious surfaces, which means there's a lot of pavement, and pavement is really hot, as we all know. So as a result of that, we have a lot of heat here. Also, there's a really busy highway that runs through here, the Norwood Lateral. So that also exposes Norwood to a lot of heat as well. Yeah, so this is a really cool map that was created with the help of citizen scientists. So, volunteers like you guys back in 2020. So people actually drove around with thermometers on their cars throughout the entire city and collected this data. Dana was a part of it. She helped out with this a little bit. So yeah, it's really cool. This is you can find this data online. There's data like this for a lot of different cities, not just Cincinnati. It's really cool to look at. So I would really recommend looking it up. It's I can give you guys the link later. I don't remember the exact link for it, but it's very cool. So there's that. Yeah, so Ward 1 is here and Ward 4 is here. So what we are focusing on is the western half of Norwood. The other thing that you guys are facing here is flooding. I heard that frequently while I was attending these meetings. A lot of people have had personally been impacted by flooding, unfortunately, which can be a really difficult thing to live through. And unfortunately, it's likely to become more frequent as time goes on and climate change continues to impact us. Here, again, we see the effects of not having a lot of vegetation covering land. We have a lot of, again, impervious surfaces. That means when water hits it, it just like runs off of it, and it then eventually goes into the streets and then into people's homes, and their basements flood, and it's not a good thing. So you can see that Norwood is much lighter than a lot of these other places. The darker the block is, so these are census blocks, the darker the block is, the more water that is being absorbed by the trees and vegetation there. So you can see that Norwood is a bit more pale. So there is more water running off, which will lead to more flooding and issues like that. So this was another really cool study too that was done with NASA Develop. Groundwork Ohio River Valley worked with them a few years ago to do this project. Basically, they used GIS and all the data that's available through that to come up with a model of runoff in the city based on things like topography and soil type and land cover and a bunch of other different factors. So it's really cool. And you can look at it here, and I have it on the Climate Safe Neighborhoods dashboard too. So it's good to know that. And then, as I was mentioning before, we have a lot of impervious surfaces here, which means that we don't have as many trees as well. And you can see that being demonstrated here in the data. You can see that Norwood is a pale green or even almost a white compared to the rest of the city. There are some areas like around Mount Airy that are very forested, and then like over here we have like way less tree cover. So obviously that's a problem. Yeah, and sorry, I forgot to mention, this comes from a national data set that's available to anybody to look at. Basically, there's a satellite that the U.S. government uses, specifically the USGS, to capture the tree cover over all of the U.S. It's not as accurate as using something, another type of technology, but it's still pretty good. So it's like what we have available to us. And I think it's pretty good. So yeah, anyway, moving on. The other thing that you guys are facing here is particulate matter levels, which are way higher than most of the nation. So this is particulate matter percentiles compared to the nation. So here, the particulate matter ranges from the 74th percentile to the 80th percentile. That means that only like 20% of the country has worse air quality, essentially, than here, which, clearly points out an issue that we need to address. And because of a lot of like scientific reasons that I can't get into explaining, air pollution does get worse as climate change gets worse. So it is a problem that will be exacerbated by that. So it's important that we know about it. So yeah, there's that. And then I also have this map of air toxics respiratory hazard risk. Essentially, this takes data about like asthma levels and heart disease and all those illnesses that are related to air pollution. And it also factors that in with things like poverty level and race and other compounding factors to come up with this index that describes like how at risk people are to getting respiratory illnesses. And unfortunately, it's very high here, like the 98th percentile, which is crazy, very high compared to the rest of the country. So there are a lot of issues to be aware of. And all this stuff, these last two slides come from the EPA EJ screen, which is also available for you to look at anytime you want. I really enjoy looking at it personally, but I'm a map person, so I don't know. But yeah. All right. I think that's everything, right? Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah, thank you.
If you all have any questions about the data you've seen tonight, feel free to get in touch with Tiffany. We can provide her email address. She does have access to the data as well as the Climate Safe Neighborhoods dashboard. All right. So getting back to like the climate advisory group process, thinking about the data, we first used that opportunity with the data to identify vulnerable neighborhoods. And that's how the climate advisory group is begun and why we chose West Norwood. So how did the climate advisory group process get started? So this got started in the city of Cincinnati, particularly with partners with the City of Cincinnati Office of Environment Sustainability, Green Umbrella, and Groundwork. This was first piloted in Lower Price Hill, which is a neighborhood sort of like in the Lower Mill Creek of Cincinnati, who is vulnerable to climate impact. They have a history of industrial pollution as well. So that was the first climate advisory group. And from then, since 2020, we've been able to launch additional climate advisory groups with neighborhoods within the city of Cincinnati. I do want to say you all are the first outside of the city of Cincinnati that we've been able to engage with climate safe neighborhoods. So you guys are very special. And so going back to climate advisory group, it's a group of residents who come together to create climate resiliency plans for their neighborhood. It's also an opportunity for building up community leadership and conversation as well. So wanted to add that in there. And CAG goals and outcomes, again, one of that is the climate resiliency plans, connections with community partners and organizations like Groundwork and Green Umbrella, as well as with stakeholders and entities from being a part of the climate advisory group. And so purpose, again, is to raise awareness about climate impacts, particularly in West Norwood, connect to the neighborhood history. So we did have an opportunity to have a history lesson about Norwood and how the history of Norwood and the way it was designed impacts the way resources are flowed, essentially, within West Norwood. To create climate resiliency plan for West Norwood is another purpose of this climate advisory group. Prioritize the community voice and needs. That's especially something we want to prioritize, which is the community voice. And then to find the best way to engage the community. So you all to engage your communities to advance climate planning essentially in action. So for those who wasn't in the climate advisory group, I want to just show the schedule of what they've been through for the past few weeks. The climate advisory group for Norwood started in October. Yeah, that's October, where we talked about the history of Norwood and priorities. And we've just been meeting every Tuesday evening. We jumped around to the library, then we was online. We was here at the community center as well. So we had some venues that we were located at for the climate advisory group. Our next meeting was impact mapping and intersectionality. So learning about that. There was also an opportunity to hear from local organizations within Norwood. We had some city reps come to talk about what they've been working on. We had Nexus Community Garden from Xavier talk about their work, as well as some other folks that are having existing green space within Norwood or working towards that effort. The group also went through climate action mapping and solutions. So that was also another mapping opportunity. And this was using GIS to locate where in the neighborhood they dealt with the most impacts, like flooding. And then the action mapping was solutions towards that. So this was rain gardens, this was cooling bus stops as one of the solutions for adaptation. And then for the rest of the weeks, we're here today for the community showcase. And the week before Thanksgiving, we met to talk about the showcase and additional recommendations and voting on priorities. And I did want to throw in that additional to the climate advisory group meeting, there will be the regional climate action planning workshop, which Bami will tell you more about later, but it's another opportunity It's also a paid opportunity for climate advisory group members to continue their journey through climate action and planning development for their neighborhood. And they had some homework. They gave some surveys. If you were one of the people that got a survey from the climate advisory group member, thank you for filling it out. They also did the climate impact mapping and adaptation mapping, which I just said, but it was just an example of their homework that they went through. And I just wanted to share who these people are who participated in the climate advisory group. You'll be hearing from them shortly about their experience, what they learned, and go through all of that. But I just want to share this photo and just show you all who these people are. You know, they're your neighbors, family, and friends from Ward 1 and Ward 4. So now we're jumping into the member presentation section of the night, where you get to hear from some climate advisory group members about first why they joined, and then we'll be going to other climate advisory group members to share some like the history. They worked on a resilience statement, as well as sharing some key takeaways in history of Norwood. So I'm going to ask Paul and David, you all could just stay where you are, but if you could just stand and share with us why you decided to join a climate advisory group. And yeah, so love to hear that.
Thank you. Pretty intense routines. We have these snowfalls, seems like it's on the ground so bad. You know, so that might be normal, but it just seems like in the past few years that pattern is not consistent anymore. If you take a look at last year, our biggest snowfall, I think, was like a few inches, and it came around Christmas time, and we never did really get that week or two of temps in the teens and single digits in mid-February, early February. And you know, at the same time, you know, we keep running these reports again every summer. It's hotter than the summer before. I went to Florida this past summer to visit some relatives, and they were saying that they've never had relatives that have been there for 60 years, and they're saying they've never had a summer that hot. So all this to say, I believe in climate change. Climate change is real. So I joined this group purely for educational purposes. Other than recycling, I really wasn't sure what the individual could do to mitigate the impacts of climate change. Being a part of the climate advisory group has been eye-opening to me, and it's encouraging to know that these organizations like Groundwork are coordinating grassroots efforts and have the backing of civic leadership, and that the feedback that we gave doing the climate surveys, doing the mapping exercises, this feedback might lead to a healthier environment for all of us. So, yeah, that's why I'm
okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm David Baumgartner. I'm a new resident to West Norwood. My wife and I live across the street in this beautiful church here, and we're part of the Good House Catholic with the community. I heard about the climate action group from Mandy, a new friend that my wife and I made after we moved here in September. And I wanted to join the climate action group because I like to get involved in the community where I live. And in the past, I've been part of changing an empty plot into a community shared garden. I've making buildings more energy efficient. And I would like to make things out of pallets, so the idea of getting together and figure out what our neighborhood needs that we talked about, and we can look back and we can realize that what we've done wrong in the past and how we've segregated or neglected parts of our town, and we can start changing that. We can think of ways to make all of our neighbors' homes warmer in the winter and colder in the summer, to avoid get rid of mold, pests, mold, and leaves. And especially with the weather patterns changing and the threat of more severe storms, how can we protect the elderly from during waves? How will we make sure that our kids and grandkids have access to clean water, fresh air, unpolluted soil, land? So, how can we all create community with each other while we work towards impactful changes? Maybe it starts with planting some trees or collecting rainwater to use for our gardens. How about some streets that are bike friendly? All right, and I like to keep our tandem around. So personal club here. And just streets that encourage us to spend more time out. As you hopefully can tell, I'm excited to be involved in this community building work, and if there's some extra time between planting the trees. Maybe we can have a dance party on the piazza in front of the church or have a barbecue. So, yeah.
I'll keep that in mind, the dance party and barbecue. I think that'd be a lot of fun. All right, thank you all for sharing. We now have Jennifer to give a little bit about the history of West Norwood. I provided some photos from the Norwood Historical Society, Susan Daniels, who was able to help us out and present about the history of Norwood. So, take it on.
Hi, Jennifer. I'm going to report one. Actually, within the whole life. I think I was born. Norwood was originally settled in the early suburbs of Cincinnati. And it was a wooded countryside north in the city. So originally it was known as Northwood, and then they later fenced it to Norwood. In 1794, pioneers settled over around the Duck Creek area. Like one of the first settlers of Norway, if not the first. There was a road in 1795. The road built along the current paths of Montgomery and Smith and Carthage, which is the area. It was originally known as State Road, and Smith and Carthage was originally known as County Road. In 1809, there was a settler named Samuel Bowman. He purchased land near the crossing of State Road and County Road. So probably right about somewhere where Bridges and Firehouse sit today. And he established a tavern and a coach stop for travelers. And he was joined by a man named John Sharp, who built a cabin and a country store on the opposite side of the intersection. And it became the Sharp Clerk, and he allowed to enact that. And then Norwood, as we know it today, is divided into 4 wards. The west side of Montgomery Road has Ward 1 and 4, and Maple Avenue is kind of the split between the two. Like one side is 4, the other is Ward 1. Ward 1 was actually the earliest section of homes that started to be built in Norwood. Investors purchased land for purpose of building homes And the streets, Mills, Hopkins, Franklin, and Allison were among the first to be actual paved roads in Norwood. And that was around 1874. There was a span of roughly 50 years where Norwood still was mostly farmland. By 1890, the majority of Ward 1 had been subdivided into streets and lots with homes being constructed. Actually, we're into that, and mining was built in like 1900. So it was one of the early homes here in Norway. There were only 3 subdivisions created with near Baker, Lawn, and Feldman in Ward 4 by 1890. 1900, Low King Company, who manufactured wooden bookcases, set up their factory between Baker and Ross Avenue. That's long since been that's were paid for, and all of the medical loans what they are now. And then in 1902, American Laundry Company opened a 5-acre factory at Ross's Section, and that building is still standing. And then with the manufacturers that popped up in Ward 4, they had to build a lot more homes quickly. A lot of the Ward 4 homes are smaller compared to the rest of the homes in Norwood. A lot of those were Sears Roebuck kits and Norwood Sash and Door Company, which was also like Patronal Section, was one of the main manufacturers for the Sears homes. The Ward 4 constructions, you can see a lot of those homes are still standing, the old, Sears Roebuck kits homes. And that was done so that people could easily get to their jobs at American Laundry and later General Motors, and that was in the same kind of area, but the only one of those that's still standing, I believe, is the American Laundry building there on Section Rock.
All right, thank you.
Just a little bit.
It's always nice to get context about the history of a neighborhood and how it's been developed over time. So thank you, Jennifer, for sharing that. So now we're going to move to Hannah. So the group so over the time, they built a resilience statement, and this is what the outcome of that was. You can share a little bit more about that as well.
So just after the first meeting, all of the members wrote their own resiliency statements based on their experience living within Norwood. Kelsey was nice enough to take all of those and kind of look for similar themes and things that we as a group thought really spoke well and combine those into one. And then we all agreed on this as our final group statement. So it says, as citizens of the city of Norwood, this climate advisory group seeks to create an actionable climate resilience plan that provides a system through which we are able to address the unique climate issues that our community faces both today and into the future. No matter your ward, age, sex, or creed, these issues impact us all. We understand that green infrastructure is an essential tool in enhancing our community's ability to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Specifically, West Norwood will encourage residents to utilize available resources like solar power, rain collection, composting, and fellow community members. We will work toward correcting past missteps in hopes of alleviating flooding issues, as well as creating a pleasant environment for all residents to enjoy.
Thank you. So yeah, this is the group's resilience statement. It represents their voices. This is all something that they contribute, and I just put it into a cohesive paragraph. And so thank you, Hannah, for sharing that. So through the development of the Climate Advisory Group, there was the climate impact mapping activity, and each ward had an opportunity to identify where within their neighborhood there was flooding and high noise pollution and things like that. So we have Allison from Ward 1 to share a little about her experience and the climate impact map for Ward 1.
Hello, everybody. I'm Allie. Allison, Allie, either one. First of all, I don't want to take too much credit for this because Tiffany did all of the hard work, creating the actual map itself. So thank you, Tiffany. It's super, super awesome. So as a group, we were tasked to essentially address our own wards that we live in. I've been living in Ward 1 right over on Franklin for the past 3 years. So we were basically offered this opportunity to walk around our specific little portion of this neighborhood and indicate all of the issues that we ourselves experience. I think this is probably the most crucial and important thing to come from this group. Conversation is incredibly wonderful and awesome and very important. However, going to create policy change and ask city officials to make change in our neighborhoods and claim what we need, you need data. And this is, I think, one of the most effective ways I've seen it be done. So thank you, Stephanie and group. I think this was a really important exercise. And I do believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, that everybody here will have ability to put their own input into these maps at the completion of this, which I highly encourage you doing because the more information and data collection that we get, the more effective it's going to be. So I can't do that super well, kind of small, but I believe you'll also have an access to this later. But the main things that we really saw and that I have experienced myself at Franklin is extreme flooding, which I know she has a lot of personal stories, probably more so than I, because I'm a new resident here. I think that was the big thing that came from Ward 1 specifically, which I can speak to. And we were able to indicate that. And then obviously Montgomery Road being the kind of main line that runs through Ward 1 was a big impact as well. A lot of hot spots, a lot of dangerous pedestrian issues, heat, pavement, flooding, all of the things that we've kind of been discussing briefly about that are pretty common issues for us all that are pretty obvious. So I think there's not much to say other than I really highly encourage looking at this map, and if and when you do have the ability to put your own information on this, please do so because data is the most powerful that we have.
Thank you. And then Ward 4 also contributed some of their impact of what's going on within in their neighborhood. So we have Nikita here to give a little bit information about that.
Hello, I'm Jeff from Ward 4, and we did the impact map as well, like what Allison said. Over the past 5 weeks, we gave our input, and I feel like this is a really good map so that we can get an overview of what's going on in the whole community, not just on my street or just in my bubble. And we did notice that one of our major areas with the heat was the Pickmore parking lot, because there's a lot of pavement and not a lot of trees there. And then a very dangerous crossing right there on Carthage and Ross, right there, because you can't see like when you're crossing and the cars just zoom around the corner. So that's very dangerous. And I think you agree with that, Hannah. And Montgomery Road, of course, it's very hot on the, for all the bus stops and everything going up Montgomery Road. But again, I think this was just a very helpful map because, again, I'm only aware of what's going on in my own area here and not, the neighborhood. So I think, like you said, that we will still be able to go and add more information to these maps if we want to, because I take walks frequently, so I plan on adding to it. But this was a very good opportunity and a very good activity, and I appreciate it. And everyone should go take a look at it and add to the map so we can get more colors on there, and hopefully we can find solutions and get those colors off.
Right. All right. All right, thank you, Nikita. So we have 2 more members. We have one who is online with us, Amanda, but we have T, who's here just to share about key takeaways and what they learned by being a part of the Climate Advisory Group. So either or can start. I just got a picture of you here, T, when you was mapping.
Just a little bit of an experience, I don't know, a little bit of things. And then when I got here, it was like they stole us and they got stolen that. And if everything's, I know that they could change it for the people. And for purpose or safety, it's benefiting, like, we need to be aware of this, and we take others aware as well. So I feel really good that I did decide to come. It was kind of just blind luck. I just happened to see a flyer one day, and I was like, no, I'll go there and see what this is. I've never heard of it before. Any idea or expectation of what it was. And now, here in these later, so glad I came, and just learned so much. And now I'm talking to people like, hey, you know, over this climate thing going on. We have this thing going on. Are you aware of? So that I feel like groups like this will impact people to start to think and do things differently, and then that will branch out into letting people around them feel the things they learn, and that will be a catalyst for a lot of things.
Thank you, T. And we have Amanda. Let's see.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Oops. And I'm gonna see if I could exit out of here so we can see you. Oops. Oh, I forgot. Ah, I jumped ahead. Still trying to figure this out. Well, maybe I could just do this. It's just oh, this one? Yeah. Okay. So this is Amanda on the sidebar.
It's okay if you don't see me.
I think it's fine. Oh, you can go ahead.
You want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Mandy. I've lived in Norwood for a little over 15 years, and I've got some takeaways to share. Kind of like what Nikita was saying. It was, and by the way, I couldn't hear people very well, and so I'm sorry if I'm repeating what some of my team members said. It kind of sounded like everyone was underwater. So thank you I'm sorry, I stayed home from work sick today, and so I'm sorry if I'm a little slow. But kind of like what Nikita was saying, it was really valuable for me to get out of my little Ward 1 bubble, and hear what other people's frustrations were. I'll be honest, I used to be on like Norwood Facebook groups, and I couldn't handle some of the animosity that was in the groups, and so I stopped paying attention. And stopped hearing the important things along with the frustrating things. So it was really good to hear from fellow Norwoodians about the negative impacts of climate change that they've been experiencing. It was also really, it felt really special to have people who are experts in their field be part of this and be in charge of it. It's not just neighbors complaining about climate change, but we're learning from people who are educated, like Tiffany, who is an expert in GIS, and Jennifer, who is an expert in the history of Norwood. Some things that I hadn't thought about a lot about life in Norwood were air pollutants, and maybe I just wanted to stick my head in the sand because I feel like I can't do anything about it. But the maps that we've been working on and the maps that our neighbors will be able to contribute to, I think will at least be evidence of what we're experiencing, along with noise pollution. So that's what I have to share. It's been a lovely experience, and I appreciate learning a lot with my neighbors.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to continue on. So we now are going back to Ali and Nikita. So they developed their neighborhoods climate action plan, those that were in Ward 1 and those in Ward 4. So Allison, if you could share again about what was it like to create the climate action plan? Was there something that you put on the map that you would like to talk about? So yeah.
Truth not all doom and gloom, as it's the positive side. We're not just talking about all the bad things, and we also want to collect data on the good things. And that's what this side of the map is. So first, we put our efforts towards marking the problems. And then the next week, we went ahead and learned about the solutions that could potentially help those problems. And then Tiffany made another beautiful map. Thank you, Tiffany. So yeah, that's what this map is all about here. The solutions that were the most obvious were was it the pavement, blacktop sealant, creating green spaces, creating green roofs, and I believe we're the main ones that we attempted here in 4.1, so I can't see it. So basically, we were tasked to look at all of the areas that we see the big problems in and offer solutions, and those were some of the solutions that we were hoping to bring to the neighborhood. And again, I think there's a lot of industry, or I know that there's a lot of industry and industrial parts from Norwood's past that are not necessarily active anymore. And I think that's where we see a lot of these issues with our high pavement and our heat and all of these things. So this is where we really need to come in and offer to these people who own this land and this property solutions that can be done. So these are really nice, awesome solutions. And with the teamwork of this group and the data that we collected along with Groundwork, we have the power and information to present to these entities solutions with actual action behind it, because these are not just free things. Like a green roof is a really awesome concept. That is also a very expensive concept, which is why, again, the data collection is really important, because if we can take the bad side and present the good side, but then also follow up with groups such as Groundwork and Green Umbrella and take action around funding and follow through the entire thing, then it may actually happen. So I think this was a really crucial, important part of everything that we've done here. And it's really fun to, and on a positive note, and not just look at all the problems here, but see the positive things that can come from it. And I really highly encourage, again, if you have opportunity to see these maps and look a little bit more into the close detail of them, the benefit is really crucial for everybody. So.
Mm-hmm. And the maps are in the back, so you all can see some of the detail afterwards. Just want to let you all know about that. And now we have Ward 4, Nikita, to talk about their action plan.
Yes, and this was very enlightening for me because I didn't even know that some of these options were available. I didn't know that you could turn it into like a green parking lot or a green space, that big page board lot. That would be awesome to do that. And being a person who used public transportation a lot, I really agree with cooling bus stops. I mean, there's been plenty of times I stood there and almost melted. So that would be really great. But again, this was really enlightening for me because I didn't even know that these were options. So again, this was, and it was a fun activity, like you said, and I would love to see some of this stuff come to fruition. That would be great. So I'm looking forward to continue working with the program to see what we can do.
All right.
All right, thank you all.
And your maps are again in the back for folks to see. And we have one more presenter. We have Nikki to share about the latest meeting. They did a priority poll on what they would like to see within their neighborhoods. And I'm gonna hand it off to Nikki to give an example or to read some of these priorities and just some of your personal next steps.
So yeah, so like a few things we kind of as a group went through and looked at what we wanted our priorities to do, what we felt like the important things for more for the address first. So you can see green space and trees top of the list for anyone who's trying to walk through one on a hot day. You can understand why that's top of our list. It's kind of an attainable goal to people. So, one person planting in the trees and start with them. And so then the second priority was planning and sustainable development. And this one really, I think, is kind of nice because it ties all the issues together. Everything can kind of get tied back to policy and planning and development in that way. And it kind of addresses, the historical relevance of how we've ended up where we are now as we would. If you can start to kind of stop the damage of the kind of planning and development level, how can we set ourselves up for success in the future? So that might be things that involve kind of policy or zoning changes at a city level, or things that businesses and residents can do. And then the third one was flooding. Like we've kind of iterated a few times tonight. Nobody likes having their houses flooded. Nobody likes having their streets flooded. So that was on our top 5 priority list too. And again, that kind of tied back to that kind of planning piece as well, and green space and trees can help that as well. So all these things really are interrelated in a way. And then number 4 was energy efficiency and renewable energy. So how can we prioritize, buildings that are more energy efficient? How can we prioritize, getting businesses and residents to have renewable energy opportunities? And then number 5 was housing and gentrification, which again ties back into that planning and development issue as well. So just thinking about how we as a city can kind of incentivize, best practices and things that are really helpful. So those were our kind of overarching priorities. In terms of kind of my experience, I think I look forward to kind of, like others have said, staying in touch with other people in our group and seeing if there is, through our mapping exercises, are there some low-hanging fruit that we can tackle right away? If there's prime space for a community garden in this corner, how can we kind of start tackling that piece, or other little things that we can kind of tackle right off the bat? Then I really want to understand, how I, as a resident, can kind of effectively advocate for some of these things at a much higher level, because obviously a lot of these are kind of above our heads in a way at a kind of city and policy level. So how can we as kind of individuals really stay in touch with each other and see how we put it together to actually implement some change?
Thank you, Nikki. So these are just a slide of some examples, project-based solutions. They identified like street trees and rain gardens, green spaces, community gardens, green roofs, green parking lots, asphalt sealing, and cooling bus stops as solutions that they would like to see in Ward 1 and Ward 4. And these are just like a visual example. So some next steps of the Climate Advisory Group and just overall. So after the wrap up of the Climate Advisory Group, there will be a story map production. So this is something that Tiffany, myself will work on, where it's like the writing of the story of the Climate Advisory Group. It would include pictures, and we would love to have you all help us in the development of that as well. We have some examples of other neighborhood story maps on our website. There will be an air quality monitoring for this particular Climate Advisory Group. This is also connected to the EPA grant that is funding our work today. So please look out for information about that in the new year for an opportunity for you all to stay engaged and to actively identify where in your neighborhood there is air quality issues. Conversation with stakeholders. So this will be with stakeholders like Keep Norwood Cool, city government officials. We're hoping to have conversations with them to help activate the climate action plans that you all have created. So that is a next step that we have done in the past also with our former climate advisory groups to continue the conversation with stakeholders and government officials. Implementation. That's another next step. So when you all identify within your climate action plans, like community gardens and green roofs and things like that, we want to help you all to implement that any way we can through funding, resources, people power as well. So just want to add that as a next step. And then any ideas that you all would like to see as well. The Climate Advisory Group did submit a next step form. So that's an opportunity for you all to give us some ideas of what you would like to see as some next steps regarding the Climate Advisory Group and your climate resiliency plans. All right, so now we're in the Q&A portion. This is an opportunity for those in the audience who have any questions about the Climate Advisory Group or the process and things like that. I'm gonna check the time. So we got some time. I'll give us like maybe 10 minutes just to dedicate to this. We can get out early, eat some food. So yeah, if you all have any questions about the process, the data, anything like that, this is an opportunity for you all to ask members or also community leaders like myself and Bami if you have any questions. So yeah, I just want to open it up to anyone here. Yeah, you go ahead. Yeah, of course. That's a great question. So they go through an intensive process training. So it started in October, and we are funded to have those trainings up until November. So this would be sort of like the last pay period regarding that. There are additional funding and payment options for those to continue being engaged, whether that's volunteer or just paid opportunities for folks within the community. But we do have an intensive training that the Climate Advisory Group has been through, and we hope to stay in touch with those that are part of the Climate Advisory Group through communication channels like newsletters, meeting up face-to-face, having events and things like that, and education to continue having this conversation and having folks activated and engaged. Yeah. All right, thank you for the question. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm just asking,
Yeah, I should have added a slide to this. So in the past, we've had a few climate advisory groups. We started one in Lower Price Hill. That was our pilot. So since then, we were able to develop a green roof, where that was one of the solutions that they wanted to see within their community, as well as the planting of up to 77 trees that they also identified within their climate resiliency plan. So those are just some of the solutions for Lower Price Hill. We had a climate advisory group in Bond Hill and Roselawn. It was sort of like you all, where they had two neighborhoods in one sort of like group. So both Roselawn and Bond Hill, they recently had a tree planting a few weeks ago, actually November 14th, where they planted up to 140 trees within Bond Hill, and Roselawn is also looking to get some of those trees as well. This is in partnership with Cincinnati Parks, and also our connection with volunteer groups like Mad Tree and Maine Inc. So, working with the community council in Bond Hill and Roselawn, they each got like a report about the climate advisory group and getting them activated and engaged with what they would like to see within their community, and just getting them involved in the process and getting their letter of support. We also have been able to hire some residents like yourselves, who were able to be employed through Groundwork to continue educating and doing engagement work within their communities. So both Lower Price Hill and Roselawn and Bond Hill have a community organizer who are both residents from those neighborhoods. And lastly, we had two other climate advisory groups, Beekman Corridor, which was 5 neighborhoods. That's in the Mill Creek Valley. They are going through a lot of development, but they have a Mill Creek Greenway engagement opportunity that we're working with group entities like, Tri-State Trails and Communities United for Action, which is a community activists or community development group and working in neighborhoods in Beekman Corridor. So our partnership with them have really continued to talk about the Mill Creek Greenway and how that could be a source of an amenity for residents, and also a safe resource for them for walking and biking and things like that. And then for Avondale, we had a climate advisory group with them in August. So it was a lot going on. So Avondale, it's still fresh with them, but having an opportunity to talk with the Avondale Community Council about some of the plans that the group members have identified, and working with community entities like Cincinnati Parks, and also continue to work with the city of Cincinnati to see where funding and resources are in regards to some of their plans. anyone have any other questions?
My question is kind of directed to Savannah. Getting connected to the different programs sounds great. But as you know, Norwood has private reaching access. So I think there's already, I think they are both observing some of the urban forestry money. So how do you leverage what's going to be the most likely to win the funding? And how do you strategically handle that, or can you just let them play? So I can sleep.
Sometimes you'll have some of this that has happened, on the ski pavement, particularly, it says to really zero in on Norwood, and it actually says, for example, there are there's another corridor that has this one we got back and another of our organizations involved. We really encourage, we're really sure about this the workforce program that's where we really rely on. I think where folks like Urbella we are happy to facilitate both strategize because applications are on the or if it was have to be kind of like for organization like that, we're happy to really about this whole moment where studying that will all be about retail finance and how that works. Other not only like take this item but if we do dollars really start to take right now and we do want to make sure you guys have plans in place and that you are making the right entities where we've seen a lot of success in people are working together and creating collaborations. And so, if you can take a minute, I work at communities all across the Midwest where there are issues. And I think taking a really helpful to have that is that we have if not heard from the but we really want to see that
Exactly right. There's just so many opportunities. Hopefully your dad will now able to do this somewhat of a start.
Yeah, and then they kind of just focus on board from the board. Like really focusing on data and but a lot of we have to focus to the neighborhood level. I think that we need
So I do have one other question that it makes logical sense for the Norwood PhD and the Avondale PhD to get together since they are sharing the watershed, and I'm assuming the flooding or the Bloody Run or Ross Run or Congress Run or whatever it is. You know, it kind of seems like proximity would make because with Beekman and Lower West Hill, you know, they're all kind of packed.
Yeah, I've been thinking the same thing. You know, Bonham, Roselawn, Avondale, Norwood, you all have the Reading Road like corridor mix, and in Avondale, you all are so close to them. I wouldn't rule it out. You know, there's definitely going to be a convening later on that we're planning. It's not like a little party that Savannah mentioned. So you all will have the opportunity to meet the Avondale Climate Advisory Group members, and we hope, you know, once it gets warmer, we can have like a little dance party or barbecue or something like David was talking about. So there's definitely opportunity for engagement with other Climate Advisory Group members, and hopefully you all can get in contact with Margot, who's our Bonham Roselawn Climate Advisory Group community organizer, and she visited a few weeks ago just to talk with you all. So there's definitely opportunity for you all to talk with other people, and I'll be happy to connect you all because you all are in the same process and journey as well as individuals and community leaders. And I'm gonna just see if Amanda has a question. Oh, yes, the Q&A is going, Mandy. Did you have a question? Okay. All right. Well, if you all have any other questions, we'll be here after we wrap up. We just have a few announcements about some upcoming events that we would like to share with you. And I'll hand it off to Bami to share a little bit about what's happening in a few weeks. Or, my bad. Okay, cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. So coming up next week, we have December 6th. So just a 1 hour information time. It's gonna be like webinar between for everyone in the Greater Cincinnati to really take part. So we've done a research, Green Umbrella and the sister analysis consultancy firm to really see how climate change and health has really the relationship between the two, the impact and the possible solutions. So this is going to be like information time for you to educate yourself, for you to learn on so many research that be done about climate change and public health issues. So, and from that, we're going to learn about the solution. So I think we have the flyer with us. So I want everyone to scan it. Nobi? Oh, sorry. Okay, yeah, so please, we want everyone to pick at least one of the flyers to help us to invite so many people. It's going to be virtual, so just scan the QR code and also register ahead of time so that you just want that program. So we also have a second program. So second one coming up next week, Thursday. So it's also like between 1 and 30-minute virtual meeting. So this one is about regional climate collaborative, regional climate plans. So which is together Green Umbrella and the OKI. So we have collaboration, be holding virtual seminar. So that has to do with how we folks in the Greater Cincinnati can, no resident can really come up with so many ideas on how we can solve the issue of climate change. Impact of climate change, how to reduce maybe greenhouse gases, energy emissions, how we can also make some implementation, as Savannah said, how we can make implementation. Just like we are second phase, we have access to about $4 billion. So, and we that is coming to our region, and we want to get so many ideas from folks. Norwood is also part of the region, so we want you guys to come up and also collaborate, involve, have some ideas, interact with us, and also so that we can hear from you and big ideas we have on how we can reduce the impact of climate change. So towards that, we have a website which is Citizen Lab, Thrive Together. So which is a digital platform where we kind of make interactions, so submit your ideas, and it's good. We have based on different regions, and we pick those ideas. We're going to be using for the implementation from that platform. So we want you guys to also register for this too and also participate. So okay, Savannah was here.
Just in case folks have heard of this, this is connected to the climate reduction grant program that's through surprise EPA. There's emerging opportunities right now. And so we have 16 counties in financial plans and this opportunity. And this is the first workshop associated with this program. Yeah, it's just a really exciting opportunity to make sure we put Norwood on the map for, like Bonnie said, there's a really significant implementation funding opportunity that connects to things like energy, transportation, air quality, etc. It's $4 billion total for the country. And what we anticipate could potentially come to our region, specifically local governments and governmental entities to apply for this. So we anticipate $30–50 million that would be local governments in our area. There will be a regional application submitted by OTI, so if you don't feel like the government is prepared to submit this application, OTI will submit, and we're going to check on government or if people just definitely encourage you at present, we want to that operate with what drives that but also want you rally not only elected officials, but other staff I just want to make sure we said the program.
Yeah. Thank you. So we can scan this QR code. You still have some minutes, right?
Yeah, there's also flyers in the back as well. If you don't have a phone that scans QR codes, so just if you all want to go ahead and RSVP you now, can do that if you would like to, but no pressure. There's time at the end as well.
Okay. So this another program we have, but this one is next year, 2nd of May. So it's a regional sustainability summit. So last year that was held, we have about 650 participants. So this year we are targeting about 1,000 participants. So we want you guys to come around, to come and meet. We have scientists who's going to come around. We have business, we have local government, we have non-profit, we have individual donors that comes around for this summit. So we network, we connect with other folks from other regions, from other areas, what they are doing, and to know more about what they are doing, and also to tell them what we too are doing here in the Greater Cincinnati. So it's still going to be here within the Greater Cincinnati, which is, since it's Duke Convention Center. So, and then our speaker is going to be Shizom, is a Shizom project director, so who is also know about and among the is a former national director for the NACP, which is National Association of Advanced Color, the People of Color. So he's a very known big fish in the ocean, so that we're able to meet this year. So please, let's try to, as time goes on, we're going to be sending out this information about the program, and we want you guys to send in your application and also subscribe to it, by registering ahead of time. So thank you.
Climate Advisory Group members attend the last Midwest Sustainability Summit. Some of them presented, some of them just attended. They went in with a discount. So, or you can get in for free. Just Savannah will hook you up if that's something that's an option for you all for next year. But just want to let you all know that it is open to you all, and that there was some folks in the climate advisory group from others who did attend and presented or enjoyed their time to network and eat. There was like performers and things like that. So it was a good time. All right, and I also wanted to share an upcoming event. You all are invited. This is December 11th on Monday. So we haven't really talked about the youth perspective here. So in a few weeks, December 11th, there's going to be some youth from our youth workforce development program. We call them our green team. They are going to be presenting. There'll be in a few films as well. So it'll be a good time. There's going to be some light snacks. It will be at Mattree Brewery in Oakley after hours. Yeah, 5:30 to 7. And yeah, just come for some films, hear from the youth of Cincinnati about their work doing some projects, conservation, and all that good stuff. So we do have a flyer in the back for you all if you're interested, and the RSVP link, and you can always reach out to us if you have any questions and about attending. So that is the end of our program here. If you have any questions about the upcoming announcements and events, feel free to reach out to us. But I did want to let you all know that there is a survey for those that are a part of this group today to fill out. Friends, family, and all to fill out in general. So those should be in the back, and we have some leftover food for you all as well. I did want some of the climate advisory group members to stay, to take a group photo next to your climate resiliency plans before you all head out. But yeah, I just want to thank you all for the past few weeks and you all's contribution and engagement and your leadership that you all displayed through the past few weeks. And I'm very hopeful and excited for what's to come with you all's plans and your leadership as residents of your neighborhoods. So that's it. I'll end. Yeah, give us a few more time.